Hey everybody, Jim from Jim's Holiest to Coleus. All right, the magic is about to begin. Here we are outside finally. Okay, so there's a little bit of a breeze out tonight, this afternoon. It's pretty nice, but I got a breeze coming through. I'm not gonna leave my Coleus out very long because I don't want to burn them at all. But I want to go over some real quick jumpstart things that you should be considering doing if you're at my stage. So, and again, this all depends on where you're at. So nothing's set in stone. Depends on where you are, when you planted your Coleus, how fast they grow. There's so many different things, but this is all general information that you can use to base what you do with your Coleus and fine tune it there. So don't get ahead of yourself. Don't feel like you're not you're doing something wrong, that I'm ahead of you or whatever. I mean, there's a grower I follow on Instagram down in Florida. When I look at his beautiful Coleus, the Coleus King, shout out, I look at his Coleus and I'm thinking to myself, my God, I'm such an amateur. Look at my Coleus compared to his. But he's got this huge greenhouse, and he does studies, and he grows thousands of Coleus and weeds a lot of them out, some of them that go to seed and so forth. So it's a different level. A smaller single, just one man growing 600 Coleus, but it's my niche, and I do a lot of good with this, not only just for the donations that I do, but just I enjoy doing it. It makes life so much more fun and interesting, and helps you out, which is the main thing. And I have my farmers market. So anyway, we're outside. It's where I want to be. I'm going to go over some trimming, a couple of things that I have, pots and stuff. Just some ideas for you. I know I mentioned them in my other videos and stuff, but hey, we're outside. Colors are beautiful, and I could show you exactly what I'm doing and the effects that it does. All right, so enough chit chat. Let's get to it. And follow along, subscribe if you're not, share my channel with people that you think are interested in Coleus. You can do this too. You don't have to grow 600, 50, 25, whatever. Make up a couple pots. Gifts, church, if your church has a little church fair, wonderful thing. Again, what I do, I grew 50 Coleus extra, I grew 50 extra Coleus for United Cancer Society fundraising run that they do every year. So you do whatever you got to do. It's good to give, as I always say. So anyway, let's get to it. And motorcycle. Anyway, beautiful day here on the Jersey Shore. Let's get to it. And thanks for following Jim's Holiest to Coleus. Okay, now I have a handful of trays out. Greenhouse. I just put some liners in, and I'm going to get to the greenhouse real quick, but I have these out in the sun just for a few more minutes. And some of these are the rootings that I did. These are the rootings that my friend Sherry up in Canada sent me. La Rambla, and it's sort of a joke going on between me and Sherry, because I can never remember all of the names of her rootings, and I know she gets on my case about it. It's just like, Sherry, I only have so much mental capacity to store stuff, so I'm very careful on what I try to remember, because then I lose something, the last thing I remember. So anyway, beautiful Coleus. Look out, see how they're very leggy there. This is natural. They will come in, they will start to fill out on the bottom. Here, those Saturn's rings, we're giving them some sun. Beautiful. And here are there's a Wizard Rose jitters that I have. I have a couple other ones here. Here's that mother Saturn's rings that I harvested. I manually pollinated seed stalks, and I got some of the offspring growing also. So this will eventually go into a bigger pot. This is just an overwintered one. So I do have a handful out on the table. I'm going to show you how to, at this stage, how to trim to get your Coleus to grow in a minute or so. There's a few trays here that are for these two here are the trays for the American Cancer Society. And here's some more of the rootings. And all of these rootings were from this overwintered Coleus. And this one here also I will be putting into a larger pot. Okay, now I'm going to get into trimming in a few minutes. I'm just going to go over some general things that you may want to get. You don't have to. And these are just ideas. Depends on what you're doing. Soon, I was going to do some potting today, but it's 66 degrees outside. It's bright and sunny. It actually feels warm in some areas, but there's a cool breeze coming off the ocean. And I don't want to burn my Coleus. And you can see here, see that kind of washed out a little bit. These I'm going to be trimming. But if you leave your Coleus, again, I'm getting into hardening off your Coleus. You want to put them outside for a few hours a day. Today is a good day to do that, but if it's too windy, this is not really too windy. This is a nice breeze, but it's not a sustained wind. If it's too windy, you can burn them if they're too young. So I generally wait until it's above 60, depending on the conditions. But this is really an ideal time to bring out my Coleus to harden them off. Again, these are a little young. I'm going to put them inside, but I wanted to give these a shot of sun. But again, these are maybe a little too tender to harden off. They're really still too small. These are like the Vino, and there's some of the Saturn's rings. So they're very, very young. If you're following along, you remember I planted these from the seeds that I harvested, that I pollinated by hand from that overwintered Coleus. But I'm going to bring these inside now. But you can see how it's a little washed out. Generally, I'm going to trim some of these. I'm going to go through all of my plants, and any leaves that look ripped, torn, discolored, washed out, burned, I will trim. And also I'm going to trim to get the bottom growth. How trimming creates that bottom growth is, think of it this way: if you do not trim your Coleus, all this new growth that's coming in is taking that nutrition and the energy from the soil and so forth. If you keep trimming the tops, then all that, basically, I like to animate it into like a cartoon. I say, okay, the plant's like, okay, you're not going to let me grow up here? I'll fix your wagon. We'll grow down here. And you'll start to get that bottom growth. So that's why it's important to trim. And this is the perfect size to trim your Coleus. And you can see I've already started on this one. And you can see the effects. So this is a good time. Here we go. These are all Coleus to get trimmed. I'm going to probably trim this. When they get red, I mean, it's natural just from being in the trays. They get kind of beat up and so forth. These here, got these big giant leaves over here and a lot of growth coming in the bottom. So I'm going to actually trim these because they get hit with, I mean, of course, in the greenhouse, I have them on the shelving, but they do kind of flop down until I can get them into big pots. And not all of them are going into pots. But this is just, in general, how you get your Coleus to become full, especially if they're leggy. And there are some Coleus that are very stubborn, and the way you do, how you fill that in, there you go, is by trimming. And they want to grow, and they will quickly respond to your trimming, like you can see there. And I'm going to trim those two tops there. They grow 2 by 2 by 2. These I'm going to be trimming. I'm going to show you in a minute. There's another one I trimmed. So this is the time, if you're at this point, folks, to start trimming your Coleus, and it will do wonders. I mean, when you grow 600 Coleus, 500 Coleus, I'm about 5 1/4, I say. You're going to have some problems. You're going to have some, you're going to run into some problems. But yeah, you can see there, see that bottom leaf's kind of discolored. I'm going to trim that. So trim. And that's how you get nice full Coleus. Those are crimson golds. And these grow in, they fill in really, really nicely. And see that new growth right up on top? I'm going to trim that. I'm not letting this thing grow any taller right now because I still want it to, you can see that growth coming in on the bottom, and that'll jumpstart it. You can even if you cut these at the top here, you can do that, and that'll force it to grow even more. These are Kong's Empires. More like an Empire. Kong Reds, Empires. These are great. These are, like I said in my past video, these are the epitome of what, when most people, when you say Coleus, this is what comes to mind. These are the most famous, I would say, the hundreds and hundreds of varieties of Coleus out there. These are probably one of my favorites, and these are a staple when I plant my big planters, because they just make a fabulous statement. And the leaves, once they go, you can see, look at them coming in. And I didn't even trim this yet, and this thing is just exploding with growth on the bottom. So Kong, Empire Kong, Kong Reds, Wizard Kongs are the great Coleus varieties to go to. Scarlets, Lime Sprite, which are very much like Wizard, are very close to Crimson Gold, rather. I don't want to get too off the beaten track here, but these Kongs are fabulous. And of course the Scarlets, Crimson Gold, Lime Sprite, you can get them mixed up a little bit, but there are some differences, especially Lime Sprite. Some of the Lime Sprites look a little bit like Crimsons, and also the Sprite, Scarlets. But the Scarlets are really dark like that. They have that dark, predominantly dark purple with the green edges. So keep trimming your Coleus, get that bottom growth going, get them into pots. Okay, so here's just an example of some Coleus that you should consider trimming. You can see how all that's leggy there. You got a little bit of growth coming in here. See that top growth there? What I'm going to do is just cut the very top, the top two. All right, here, this one here, same thing. You got all this growth coming in. You got a lot of, it's kind of getting leggy, so we're going to trim that. Even some of these bottom ones, if you see growth coming in, so trim it. Perfect example here, this jade, got all this, look at that, all that growth coming in. You got these two big leaves up top here. I'm going to trim these, get rid of those. Same thing with this here. Now these two will be separated eventually, but we don't want this impeding on this other one, so I'm going to go under here and trim just one leaf. You got this one here. Again, there's no exact science on it, but you know, if you see something that doesn't look good right down here, you want to get some light in there. You don't want leaves. This is still going to grow. We got plenty of leaves. You got some growth coming in on the bottom. Here's another example. Tall. It's kind of on the leggy side. Got lots of growth coming in. Let's get rid of these on the bottom. And the very, very top two here. And I'm going to keep trimming that until it starts to boost. That'll start to stimulate the bottom growth. So just in general, you could see, look at all that growth coming in. I know it's tough to do that, but believe me, at this point especially, it's early yet, it's going to do wonders for the Coleus. So lots and lots of beautiful, beautiful color. And look at all that undergrowth. So trim your Coleus. Very important. Okay, if you have a dollar store near you, Dollar General is, I found, have the best variety. But there's Family Dollar. It depends on where you live, what part of the country. I don't know if Dollar General or National or whatever, but I get these from Dollar General. Slowly, they're not. These have been out for years and years. I've been buying hundreds and hundreds. I used to order these direct from Dollar General. I ordered 200, 300 at a time. I sold so many, And there is 1 or 2 stores near me. I have a lot of Dollar Generals near me, and I don't like to take all of their stock. I don't like to be unfair. But if I go there a few times and I see there's still a lot there, I'll take a handful. So I have these. I have some more inside, but these are really great fluted pots, and they're plastic. Just make sure you drill holes, drain holes. Very important. Drain holes are very, very important all over your pots. The metal ones. Here's another. The metal. Some people will argue that the metal pots aren't great for Coleus because, you know, especially in the sun, they may heat up the roots. But I generally don't keep these metal potted Coleus in direct sun, so I don't really worry about that so much. These I ordered 2 cases recently. I haven't seen these in a few years. They used to actually have monograms. I think I have a photo with little butterflies or bees, but I couldn't find them. And these I ordered 500 like 5-6 years ago, and they're all gone. I like these because they're easy to transport. They make great Coleus pots, and they don't take a lot of soil up. You just have to drill the holes. So I saw these. They have like a little starfish. They're not really colorful, but they're beautiful in their own way. So I ordered a bunch of these. I just got 2 cases, and these I got at Family Dollar. I actually got them online and had the 2 cases shipped to my house. I mean, shipped to the store, so I had to pick up. So these I'll make up a bunch of these. So, and you know, I'll throw 2 Coleus in here with soil, potting soil. If you're curious of what I do sell, but I generally get like $15. And these here I may get $8 to $10 for a single Coleus. And they're nice little statements. Here, $10. Okay, these are new. Actually, a friend of mine, Dina, had given me a bunch of these plastics, and they're pastel colors. So I'm going to give these a try. It's different, and they're plastic, and they already have the drainage in there, and they have little trays. So I have about a dozen of those. Thanks, Dina. Hanging baskets. Again, I got 3 left. I'm going to order another dozen just to have. I love hanging baskets. And again, over the years, I've been growing them. And they sold, but they weren't like great sellers. And I always hung them up on my awning here at the farmer's market. And somebody has suggested, hey, why don't you put them on the ground? Because then people could see the Coleus. And last year I did that, and they went. I sold, I had a dozen I made, and I have 3 pots left. So I sold, you know, about 9 or 10 of the hanging baskets. So we're going to make more of them, and they're good. They already have the drainage holes in there, and I'll put the jitters in there, and I just make a variety. I either get green or white. I'll probably get white hanging baskets this year. And I get them from a greenhousesupply.com. I think I get, I think it's a dozen. They're about $2 a piece. So, and again, I'll sell these for $15. So, I mean, I do make some money off of this. And again, I donate money to different organizations. But, you know, you can make a couple of bucks. If that's where, you know, if it's a little side thing for you, make a few dollars on the side and you enjoy it, and you're making other people happy. So, oh, and don't forget about these here. These I ordered. I get these on eBay or Amazon. You can get a little hanging, and I'll put I'll put something really, really colorful on here. And they, you know, they go fairly, you know, quickly. $10. And again, these all cost me $1. These are left over, so I might just sell them for 5 or 6. But these go pretty well, and I make a nice statement. I'll hang them, if I have like a dozen, I'll hang them along my the front of my table at the farmer's market, and they make a nice little statement, nice display. So just some ideas for you. If you're going to grow some Coleus, if you think of maybe doing a craft fair at your church or what have you, or just growing a dozen or something like that to give to families. Maybe you have a bunch of birthdays coming up, Mother's Day, whatever. I know Mother's Day is around the corner, but whatever. I think you get the idea. So, and this is where it gets a lot of fun. I have to look over everything. Now I'm going to reorganize my greenhouse, make sure I get everything all the types of colors in one spot, the type of Coleus that I can in one spot, so I know where everything is. And when it comes time for me to design my pots, I can say, okay, the blue ones, I know this, I'm gonna put these in here because they're yellow and they have like a little bit of a yellow white, the blue. I do this every year and it's really exciting. Sometimes I'm a procrastinator. If you look up procrastinator in the dictionary, my photo is there. So there are times that I make this into nuclear science, deciding on what to put in these pots. And I try not to do that to myself. Try to say, hey, they're beautiful Coleus. Don't get too involved in the colors of what's going where and so forth. So, okay. Beautiful, beautiful Coleus. And this is just a fraction. I'm going to go in the greenhouse now and show you the rest that we have. Okay, of course, water sprayer. This is a Premier metal water sprayer. They either come in chrome or water. These are really good. I keep these. This is my watering can, and I'll use this just to, you know, I'll bring this to the farmer's market, and when I'm in my greenhouse and I see 1 or 2 pots, maybe 3 pots that are a little dry, I'll give it a shot with this. But a lot of times I'll use this to water my Coleus as well. Okay, so actually my rack covers arrived today. So I have pretty much 90% of my racks covered, so these pots won't fall over. Without these tray liners, they fall over, and it's a nuisance. So these are really good. I'm just curious to see how they're going to withstand the heat of the summer. So we'll see what happens. They're not terribly expensive. I got them on Amazon. Amazon's great. So I got 4 covers for, I think they were like 24 bucks. So I got I ordered what, 3 cases. So we'll see what happens. And in the winter time, what I'm going to do is take them out and put them in my bring them inside or whatever, wash them, clean them, and store them inside so they're not subjected to the winter too. So we'll see what how they look after the summer. You know, it gets kind of harsh in here. I got all the doors, windows. Okay, so it's 66 degrees outside. Have all the doors and windows wide open. Nice breeze coming through. We're at 88. Yeah, about 88 degrees in here. It's really nice, but low humidity. I did give these some water, and I have this water bucket here to boost the humidity. So it's about 45% humidity, which isn't bad. Coleus don't like high humidity. They're not a high humidity. People think they're a tropical plant, but they're not high humidity plants. So, yeah, there's some water on the leaves here. That's fine. It's early. It's going to evaporate. You don't want to do this late in the afternoon. You're not going to see me out here at 7 p.m. watering my Coleus, because it's not good to let the water sit overnight. They don't like to be misted. I don't mist my Coleus, so I don't recommend doing it. I don't mist them. They're not misty type plants. Again, they don't like the water on their foliage. I water in the morning, and in the summertime I may water a few times a day, and these small pots will dry out pretty quick. Again, by summer, by the real heavy summer sun and the heat, a lot of these will be in larger planters and pots and hanging baskets, etc. So, but you can see I didn't bring any of these mosaics out. I may move these around, and that's another thing too. Every once in a while, this is the system I do in my greenhouse. It's a lot of work, but I do it. I will move these from here to here now, and it's a lot of work now, but it's not going to be always like that, because again, these will be in pots. But I move them around a little bit, give them all a little bit of a different aspect of sun, and some of them may do a little better over here. This tends to be the brighter area of my greenhouse, because the sun sets in the summer. The sun's going to be from here and over, so generally this is the sunniest, brightest section of my greenhouse. This tends to be a little less sunny but more hot because it's in the back, so it tends to get really hot in the back over here. So I kind of tweaked that over the years. These I'm going to move. These are those Wizard Rose that I planted a few weeks back. I just moved these over here. They were here, and I decided to put them over here because this, again, this is the brightest section of the greenhouse. So I decided, let me put them here to see how they do. They are growing, but I decided, let me give it a try and see how they do for the next couple of days. If I don't like the way they look, I'll move them to a less bright area, but again, they're not getting blasted with direct summer sun because summer sun has not arrived yet. And again, I organized some of these. I didn't bring everything out. I will be bringing that one box of like the Saturn's rings, the little black ones inside, and bring some of these out. And eventually I'm going to go through all of them and trim them. There's like a jitters. You can see all that growth coming in the bottom because I started trimming them. I went through all of these over the past week or so. I've trimmed 90% of them, but again, there are some that have damaged leaves, just as natural. It's not that I'm doing anything wrong. I did get a few of them that got wind burned a few weeks back, if you remember the videos I've done. I did have a few Coleus that got wind burned when I hardened some of them off. It happens. That's the learning experience that I've learned, and I think I've done pretty well over the years, is to be patient and not, I want to get them out on the table, I want them out, I want to get outside, I want to get them growing, but too soon creates problems because it might be a little too cool. So again, anything under 60 degrees, if there's too much of a breeze, I will not harden off my Coleus until I know it's a good day. And high windy days are probably the worst conditions for younger Coleus if you want to burn them. So if you're hardening off your Coleus, you know, pick a good day above 60 with a light breeze and shelter them. Don't let them bake in sun, but give them some sun, and that's the hardening off process. Again, you can look through my list of videos. I did one a few weeks back explaining hardening off. All right, so basically this video is just an overview of what I'm doing now. And again, you can apply it to where you're at, where you live, how big your Coleus are, and so forth. The products that I use. Any questions, you know, just leave me a comment or over on Instagram, and I'm happy to help you. If you have a problem with a Coleus, you're not sure, take a picture of it, Instagram message me, or Facebook. You can send me a photo. I'll do the best I can to help you out on it. If you have any kind of questions, you have a problem with a Coleus or whatever. But this is it. This is the magic. And stay tuned. My next video will be when I start my pots, creating some pots. There's another couple of hanging baskets over here, and some more of the metals. I have the birds. I just evicted the carpenter bee. He likes hanging out in here. And it's funny, carpenter bees are not social. They don't have a hive like other bees, but they will drill away, you know. Let's see if I can get this in. If you remember this from last year. See that hole there? That is, I was actually watching him drill into the wood. And that was a carpenter bee. So I didn't kill him. I kept spraying him with water, and he eventually got the message and vacated. So carpenter bees, they're not social bees. They generally hang out by themselves. I'm not a bee expert, but I did read up on them. So, and I did have a wasp hornet's nest in here one time, and I had a company come in and remove that because I ain't messing with those hornets. So. But you can see all that growth on the bottom. Trimming. Getting back to it. I know I'm repeating myself, but that's how I teach you. Trim, trim, trim. Except for these. We're just letting these grow. There's a scarlet. So I did some organizing here. Some scarlets over here. Some of the Kongs up here. Jade Kong, and some of the Coleus here, some Crimson Golds. There's a Jitters, hanging basket, hanging basket, hanging basket. This is going to go into a hanging basket, more than likely, at least half of it. Is a Kong and a Wizard Rose. Another one. Almost like a blackberry cherry. I think this is one of the ones that were like a black cherry. Really dark red in the center with a little bit of black and green. So many varieties, folks, but I don't go nuts. You know, if you're following along, you know I have my favorites, and I do try to expand them over time. I think that's a leftover fishnet. I did order some fishnets from Rosie Dawn Gardens. I'll be getting them in, I think, next week. I scheduled the delivery. I ordered about 10 different varieties from Rosie Dawn Gardens. They're live plugs, and they'll be coming in about another week and a half, and then we'll get those potted up too. Just a couple of side things. You don't have to go crazy with fertilizer. Again, I'm going to show you inside. If you're following along, you know I use the Miracle Grow shake and feed time release fertilizer pellets mixed in with all of the soil. Once I start to transfer them into these nurturing pots, they're in there, they're fertilized as you water them. Once they get growing, then I will switch over. Once they're in the larger pots and they're established, then I'll switch over to the Miracle Grow water soluble plant food, and then we'll fertilize from there. But at this point here, these are still pretty young. I don't go crazy with fertilizer. You don't want to burn them. They don't need a lot of fertilizer, and what's in the soil right now is fine. So don't go crazy with it, but I do have links in the description of the video on some of these products if you're interested in getting some of the stuff that I use. Insecticide spray soap. There's different brands. There's Safer brand. This I got at Lowe's because I ran out of my Safer and I was there. Basically, Coleus, there's a few pests that you may run into, white flies and so forth, that like to hang out on the bottom of your leaves. So you got to check on that. I only use this stuff. It's natural. It's a seaweed extract, so it's natural, but it's a little pungent. I shouldn't say noxious. It's pungent. So use it in a ventilated area. And I don't use it unless I really need it. So again, that link will be in the video description. So another thing you can use, fish oil. And this is nice because it meters. Just one little capful here. You squeeze it. And that's how much you put in for like a 2-gallon water container. I don't use this a lot because it smells a little bit. It's fishy. It is fish oil, but I use this for my other plants, some of my flowering plants and my vegetable garden once that gets going. But I'll give a very diluted mixture in one of my watering cans occasionally with my Coleus, some of my larger planters, but it's good stuff, and this is just an option. So just giving you some ideas. So don't go nuts with the fertilizer, but it does make a difference to use it. And if and there are so many organic at home type of fertilizer things you can use. Some people use coffee grounds. Just one caveat with coffee grounds, I'll use them during the winter. I don't mix coffee grounds, spent coffee grounds, in the soil actively during the summer, because actually fresh coffee grounds used, you just made a pot of coffee, if you mix that into your soil right now, like sprinkling around, it can actually rob some nitrogen from the soil. So I don't use coffee grounds actively. I'll use it sort of like a compost during the winter. When I finish making a pot of coffee, I'll dump the coffee grounds. All of my planters on my property here have coffee grounds mixed in over the winter, except for those. I did put those in when I uncovered them. I mixed some up about a month ago, but all of my outside planters I mixed in some coffee grounds. Just a little mention of coffee grounds. Okay, everybody, so hope you enjoyed this. Again, apply it to where you're at. Don't judge yourself based on what you see here, and if your Coleus don't look this way or that way. There's so many variables. Just apply whatever you can. And I'm always here for you. Just leave a comment if you have a question. Always here. Lots more to come. Again, stay tuned. Probably another week or so. We got some warm weather coming up. Not rushing, but I do want to get them into pots. So stay tuned. More to come here. Jim's Holiest of Coleus. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday or your weekend. So take care, everyone. Thanks for watching.